Hi, this is JC with Beyond 20, and today we're going to take a look at ServiceNow and just do a brief overview of LDAP and getting that set up. I'm not going to go too in depth in this video, so if you're looking for something more in depth, you may want to wait until I get to that video later down the road. But for today, so let's take a look at LDAP. So in the filter navigator here, I'm just going to search for LDAP. I'm going to go to LDAP servers. And for this, we'll just go through the example. On the left here, you can see you have the ability to create a new server. So when you're doing yours, make sure to create a new server on here. Give it a name. Make sure that you set it to active when you're ready. Your application is global. And then here is some information that you're going to need from your Active Directory. Excuse me. Then you also have your mid server here. So for most setups, you're going to be using a mid server. That is something that you'll have to set up. I can actually create a video to go through how to set that up. Not right now though. The setup for the mid server is pretty straightforward. It honestly takes about 10 minutes, if that. When you're doing LDAP, make sure that either you know something about LDAP or you know someone that does. For instance, LDAP is not my strongest suit, or AD isn't rather. And so you always want to make sure that you're working with someone that knows the Active Directory that you're working with. They'll be able to give you like the URL and the starting search directory, things of that nature. Also, any attributes, Active Directory attributes, make sure that you have every spelling correct. If you don't, it's not going to work. You've got some advanced options such as your timeouts, if you're doing a listener or not. The listener is basically, you can either choose to have ServiceNow do this on a schedule, or you can have it do it on a listener. So the listener will pick up anytime there's a change in Active Directory, versus the schedule, you can set it to whatever you want. If it doesn't need to be instant, it can be set like daily, maybe nightly. Just make sure that it doesn't coincide with kind of other jobs. Once you've got your LDAP server set up, you can test your connection. And then we're going to go into the OU definitions. So in ServiceNow, if you're importing groups from Active Directory, which is usually a pretty good idea, especially if you want to use groups for other things or other systems outside of ServiceNow, you do need to have two separate LDAP OU definitions here. And we're going to open one up here. Got your query field as the same account name. Your RDN will likely come from Active Directory. It's your server. The table that we're doing here is group, and then any filters that you have. Once you have this set up correct, you are able to browse into it to see what are the groups that you're actually doing the import on. The next thing we have is our data sources. So this is for the actual import. This we are doing an LDAP. We're putting it in the group. You are able to load, do a test here if you'd like. You can load 20 records as well as load all your records here. And then we have the LDAP group transform map. So it's putting it into this, when we do the import, it's going to put it into the LDAP group import table, and then we are going to do a transform on it. And so this one is going to map only 3 fields. It's mapping the same account name to the name, the description to description, and the source to the source. We can set an order here. Our target table is this group, and once again, our source table, where it's grabbing it from, is this LDAP. It does come with this default script. I typically use this when we're creating new connections. It also has some transform scripts, an on after and an on start. Both these are usually good to use as well. It does have the description of what it does right here. And then on start as well. You do have the addition to do some other scripts. So you can do on after, on before, on choice create, on complete, on foreign insert, on reject, or on start. So they're all pretty self-explanatory on when they're actually going to run. So just make sure if you are running scripts, and this is JavaScript, then make sure you have the right to when you want to run it. Also, as always, make sure that it is set to active if you actually want to use it. It is up to you if you want to enforce mandatory fields. And also, one last thing to point out here is this coalesce field. So this coalesce, what field is unique? And we want to say that it's the same account name. In general, I suspect that this is most likely going to be the field that you almost always coalesce on, but you may have an organization that doesn't, or you're trying to do something that doesn't. So, like I said, this is going to be a very brief overview, just taking a look into the LDAP settings themselves. Nothing too heavy in this one, but that is kind of your basic setup for LDAP, and going over the example one that is straight out of the box. Thanks, and have a great day.